Hello, good morning. I'm Paolo del Rosario. Welcome to WeatherHQ. Today's headlines. Pagasa says 3 weather systems will continue to dump rains in the country. The LPA, the shear line, and the northeast monsoon today. A nonprofit organization is on a mission to maintain a cleaner, healthier underwater environment. I'll speak with the Philippine Association on Underwater Activities later on in the show. In Africa, the death toll in Mozambique rises to 73 in the aftermath of cyclone Chido. And in South America, over 400,000 children in the Amazon basin face serious challenges due to a dry spell. More on our global weather. Let's take a look at the local weather, where 3 weather systems will continue to dump rains in our country today. First off is a low-pressure area in Mindanao, right here at the bottom right, smack dab in the middle of Mindanao. And the second is a shear line affecting the eastern section of southern Luzon. And lastly, the northeast monsoon affecting the rest of Luzon. Now, the LPA in Mindanao, we're going to start here first. This was last spotted over the coastal waters of Mahinog, Camiguin. Now, it will continue to bring cloudy skies with scattered rains and thunderstorms in Visayas, Mindanao, and Palawan. The shear line, on the other hand, will bring cloudy skies and scattered rains with scattered rains and thunderstorms throughout the Bicol region, Quezon, and the rest of Mimaropa. It will also bring cloudy skies with rain in Cagayan Valley, Cordillera Administrative Region, and Aurora. Here in Metro Manila, though, the rest of Luzon as well, you can expect partly cloudy skies with isolated light rains due to the northeast monsoon. Now, let's see whether or not the sea conditions will be affected by this by checking out the gale warnings. Now, due to the strong wind speed of the northeast monsoon, a gale warning is up in the coastal waters, of northern and eastern sections of northern Luzon, where there will be rough sea conditions, so around these areas in particular. Now, mariners in these areas are advised to stay in port, especially those who will sail using small motor bangkas. Meanwhile, moderate to rough sea conditions are expected for the rest of Luzon and Visayas and Mindanao as well, with a light to moderate waves expected. Seafarers in these areas are advised to take appropriate measures to ensure the safety of life at sea. Now, let's take a look at the expected temperatures starting off in northern Luzon. Now, the northeast monsoon is expected to bring cloudy skies with rain showers, especially in Basco, Apari, and in Tuguegarao. So these 3 areas here affected by the northeast monsoon. Temperatures in Basco will range from 20 to 24 degrees Celsius, while in Apari it will be 24 to 26, and Tuguegarao will go the lowest at 22 degrees Celsius and 26 degrees Celsius being the highest. Now, let's take a look at Dagupan. Dagupan over here in the left side of the northern Luzon, 24 to 31 degrees Celsius. The temperatures, minimum chances of rain, sunlight rains though, could be expected over in Dagupan. In Baguio, Vigan, and Lawag, partly cloudy skies are forecasted, but in terms of temperature, of course, Baguio is different compared to Vigan, Lawag, and practically the rest of the Philippines. Baguio, around 15 to 24 degrees Celsius, 15 degrees being the coolest it will be here today. However, in Lawag, you can expect 22 to 32 degrees Celsius, and over in Vigan, 25 to 31 degrees Celsius over there. Now, let's go down further to the central Luzon area, where cloudy skies with a little sun rays are expected in areas like Casiguran, Gapan, Tarlac, Iba, Angeles, Subic Bay, Mariveles, and Metro Manila. Now, the lowest temperature in these areas is going to be around 23 degrees, which is in Gapan, and Casiguran with around Casiguran rather has the highest possible with Subic around 33 degrees Celsius. So, pardon me there. So, Subic will have the highest at 33 degrees Celsius, and Casiguran will have one of the lowest of 23 degrees Celsius. Now, let's go down even further south and take a look at how the shear line is affecting this area. Now, the shear line will bring cloudy skies with rain showers for the whole region, particularly in Tagaytay, Calamba, Legazpi, Daet, Verac, Sorsogon, Romblon, Puerto Galera, and Coron. Now, temperatures in Tagaytay a bit lower as well in this area, 20 to 25 degrees Celsius, so that's going to be quite cool. In Calamba and Verac, on the other hand, you're going to also experience 24 to 28 degrees Celsius in terms of the weather there, so still a bit cool. You can also expect 15 to 28 degrees in Daet and Puerto Princesa, rather 25 degrees in Daet and in Puerto Princesa, 25 to 28 degrees. Romblon has around 24 to 27 degrees Celsius, with the highest possible being 31 degrees in Coron right over here. Now let's go down even further south. Let's go to Visayas. Most parts of this region will have cloudy skies with rain showers due to the LPA affecting the region, especially down south of it. Rainy weather is expected, particularly in Boracay, Iloilo, Bacolod, Dumaguete, Cebu City, Tacloban, Tagbilaran, and Catarman. Now, despite the rainy weather, the temperature in Cebu and Tagbilaran will raise up to 30 degrees Celsius. Well, Cebu and Tagbilaran near each other here, 30 degrees Celsius being the temperature that you can go highest. Catarman, on the other hand, will have around 29 degrees Celsius. Now, 28 degrees is going to be the expected maximum temperature in Iloilo and Tacloban. And in Boracay, a bit cooler there with temperature ranging from around 26 degrees Celsius to 27 degrees Celsius. So not a lot of variation over in Boracay. Now, moving on to Mindanao. Now, we mentioned that the LPA is there and weather conditions here are still expected to be relatively the same all throughout because of the intertropical convergence zone. Let's take a look at this. Cloudy skies with rain showers and thunderstorms are expected to prevail in Zamboanga, Dipolog, Marawi, Cagayan de Oro, General Santos, Butuan, and Metro Davao. Now, despite the rainy weather, 33 degrees Celsius is the highest possible temperature in Zamboanga and Dipolog. Metro Davao, on the other hand, has 32 degrees Celsius as a maximum temperature, while 31 degrees in Butuan and 30 degrees in General Santos and Cagayan de Oro. Now, in Marawi, you can expect a bit cooler weather as expected throughout the region, 22 to 25 degrees Celsius over in Marawi. So for those in that area, make sure that you do plan accordingly to the weather here today, especially considering the rainfall that we are expecting. Now, speaking of rainfall, let's see how heavy the rainfall is and what the outlook is because of the low pressure area and the shear line. Now, heavy to intense rains are expected tomorrow in the following places: Quezon, Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, Oriental Mindoro, Marinduque, and Palawan. While moderate to heavy rains are expected in Laguna, Batangas, Occidental Mindoro, Romblon, Catanduanes, Albay, Sorsogon, Masbate, Antique, Aklan, Capiz, Iloilo, Northern Samar, Eastern Samar, and Samar. On Sunday, December 22, you can expect heavy to intense rains that will continue in Quezon, Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, and Catanduanes, while moderate to heavy rains will prevail in Albay, Sorsogon, Masbate, Oriental Mindoro, Marinduque, Romblon, Palawan, Aklan, Capiz, Northern Samar, Eastern Samar, and Samar. Residents in the affected areas should brace themselves as there is a significant likelihood of severe flooding and landslides occurring in these regions. Now, it is crucial to stay informed and take necessary precautions to ensure safety during this potentially hazardous situation. Now, to know more about the LPA and the weather in this upcoming weekend, we have with us on the phone Pag-asa Weather Specialist Cignal Dominguez. Magandang umaga, Cignal. Thank you very much for joining us.
Magandang umaga din po sa inyo at magandang umaga din po sa mga taga-subaybay po natin.
Cignal, can we have an update on the LPA in Mindanao? How is its effect so far and what are its predictions with regard to its strengthening or with regard to it dissipating?
So yun po, ito pong low pressure area po natin ay ngayon po ay nasa medium chance po na maging isang ganap na bagyo muli na tatawagin po natin ito ulit na Curibin kung ito po ay magiging isang ganap na bagyo po ulit. So ngayon po sa nakikita po natin, ito po ay nagdadala po ng mga malawakang pag-ulan dito sa Visayas, Mindanao at Palawan. And then sa nakikita din po natin, possible po hindi naman po ito maging isang ganap na bagyo dito po sa loob ng ating Philippine landmass at possible po na maging isang ganap na bagyo po siya paglabas po o pagdating niya po sa West Philippine Sea.
Well, nakita din natin yung shear line has been dumping rains all over the middle part of the country. How long can you expect the shear line to be affecting us here and of course causing rain?
So yun po, sa nakikita po natin, hanggat malakas po ang ating amihan, malakas din po ang magiging shear line po natin. Patuloy po tayo makakaranas ng shear line. Sa ngayon po, pinaka-naapektuhan po ng ating shear line na yung Bicol region at aasahan po natin to hanggang sa disperas po ng Pasko.
Alam ko nandito pa rin yung LPA, but then a lot of people are wondering, are we safe from any tropical cyclones for the rest of the holidays?
So nakikita po natin, wala naman po tayo nakikita pa po na minomonitor na possible po na susunod ka dito kay Caribbean.
Thank you very much, Pag-asa Weather Specialist Cignal Dominguez. Please enjoy the holidays. Now, of course, when we return, I'll speak with the Philippine Association of Underwater Activities and its mission towards marine preservation. Stay tuned. You're still watching WeatherHQ.
Good morning, I'm Mikey Oreta, and you're watching Basis Points, where we dive deep into the numbers and the stories that drive our economy and shape our world.
Stay ahead of the curve with the latest on financial dynamics.
The Philippines' trade deficit hits its highest level in over 2 years. The Philippine stock market continues to plummet. The Philippine Economic Zone Authority is on track.
Join us as we delve into the evolving economic landscape. Mikey Oreta, Basis Points, 9:30 a.m. Only on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Welcome back. You're still watching WeatherHQ. I'm Paolo del Rosario. A nonprofit organization is on a mission to maintain a cleaner, healthier underwater environment. Joining us via Zoom is Mariana Reyes of the Philippine Association of Underwater Activities. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning so much. Yeah.
All right, so Mariana, let's take a look first at what your group does and who are members of this group. Can you tell us a bit more about what started it and, of course, what the functions of the group actually are?
Thank you so much for that question. So we're the Philippine Association Underwater Activities, and everything and anything that has to do with underwater, such as the diving activities, the issuing of diving licenses, at the same time, it's underwater protection. We all cover that. So we're actually a group composed of scuba divers from University of the Philippines, also the Maritime Police Group, and other non-government agencies and NGOs that actually want to learn scuba diving and also want to protect the environment at the same time. We also do a lot of environmental education, and specifically the marine ecosystem, to lower education, middle school, also high school. So we're quite involved in a lot of marine education programs and coral restoration programs, and issuing diving licenses for instructors or dive masters.
So what regular activities does your group typically have? You mentioned the education, of course, the trainings as well. In a regular calendar year for you, could you give us an idea of the type of activities we can expect from your group?
Okay, yes, we have a lot of upcoming or past events. So actually, we started out doing the typical normal beach cleanup because we wanted to not only reach the divers, but also reach, again, the younger generation or the younger kids, because not everyone can go underwater. So we have a strategy that we do step by step to educate people. So from there, you have to raise awareness at a young age by doing the beach cleanup. But then we realized that the beach cleanup, it's good for environmental stewardship, but we wanted to take a more scientific approach. So we actually partnered with some DOST projects, and we actually did like what we call a low-cost coral restoration protocol. So we can actually implement coral restoration at a cost-effective solution, because if you would know, coral restoration is quite expensive in different countries. You need a remote operated vehicle, or you need to do some reseeding, and that costs quite a lot. But here in the Philippine Association of Underwater Activities, we want to be scientific. At the same time, we want to be cost effective and sensitive to the local community, because not everyone will have the means and resources to do this conservation. And most of the time, sad to say, it's not the priority. But we still want to try our best to make it soundly to science, at the same time geared towards local community.
You know, you mentioned also that you do provide training for divers. Is there anything different with the type of training that you do provide, considering the advocacies that the group holds?
Yes, because we are the representative of the Confederación Mundial Subaquatique, so that's World Underwater Federation in English. So people who take licenses in CMAS or World Underwater Federation are geared towards more non-touristy diving, so we could think of more scientific or more military style. That's why it generally takes longer to acquire a license from us. If you go to other countries, typically the people who have this CMAS license are from military or scientists. Like in Germany, they have scientists that have CMAS license, and France, or in Israel, you have the military having CMAS licenses. So our training is geared towards more for organizations who really want to do this kind of scientific diving. So, for instance, we right now we have our president is teaching also in University of the Philippines. So you could see this is more for education type. We're tied up with universities. And so that's what makes us different, is that we can offer the scientific trainings and licenses along with what that organization needs. We also have tie-up with the Philippine National Police Maritime Group. So they get a CMAS license from us and they acquire training skills. So I would say if you were taking diving as a career towards scientific or towards something like Maritime Police Group, CMAS or Philippine Association Underwater Activities, CMAS licenses are more appropriate for that.
And of course, you look at your work obviously does involve a lot of marine preservation. You've seen it all, I'm sure. How would you assess the efforts that the country is having, and of course the efforts of other non-government organizations with regard to the preservation of marine life here in the Philippines?
I would say that currently, I think it's also because of the generational aspect. Now that there are more younger people in the Philippines, they actually care more about the environment. So I personally want to be hopeful for all the marine restoration efforts or conservation efforts happening in the Philippines by government and non-government organizations. But I also want to point out and urge corporations and private sectors to also step up. When I mean step up, they could help these government projects and non-government projects with supplying funding or training for their higher officials or higher ups, so that we can actually do real environmental social governance and we could address these issues. So in terms of government and non-government organizations, I'm quite happy with the performance they have. Of course, there's room for improvements, but I also want to be helpful, and I also want to urge companies and corporations to also take part in this, because now you have the mass public, the mass general public, and also the international community calling out for all of these different conventions. You talked about the weather earlier, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but now we're reaching, we exceeded 1.5 degrees anomaly. So I think it's now a wake-up call saying that right now, now is not the good time. Basically, we are living in an era of 1.5. And because of the increase in temperature of the climate, everything is now in decline. The marine ecosystem will decline. So eventually, let's try our best, especially coming from the private sectors, to try our best towards more sustainable actions and conservation actions. And I'm hopeful that the private sectors will want to also participate in this, because I know a lot of friends in private corporations, they want to do good. So let's give them the room, us NGOs and the governments, let's give them the room to participate and to do better with us. So it's more of a collaboration. So overall, I'm very happy with the conservation efforts, because we see the effort, we see the conviction, we see the promises, but what we can do is follow through with these. So I'm very hopeful in general.
So, of course, you can catch them on their social media accounts of the Philippine Association on Underwater Activities. And the social media we're flashing there on the screen. Of course, you can follow them, message them if you want to reach out. Thank you very much for joining us today. Mariana Reyes of the Philippine Association on Underwater Activities.
Thank you.
Now, up next, tons of food assistance arrive at the French territory of Mayotte after it was battered by Cyclone Chido. The details after the break. This is The Scorecard,
where you score the latest sports news
and in-depth views. I'm Anton Rojas.
I'm Erica Christensen.
Get ready. Be prepared. Get to the latest stories, updates, and reports about what's happening in the world of sports. Hosted by Anton Rojas, Erica Christensen.
Where sports is our business and business is our sport.
The Scorecard, 9:30 p.m. on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Magandang gabi, ako po si Pinky Webb.
Ako naman si Corina Sanchez Rojas. Simulan na natin ang agenda.
We're not confident with numbers, ma'am. Because impeachment is a legal process and a political activity.
The PSA recently informed us, Mr. Chair, that all non-existent
need warships. It will be provocative and will be seen as an escalation. We don't do that. The Philippines does not escalate tension.
Sa bawat issue, may anggulo. At ang balita, may agenda.
Welcome back. You're still watching WeatherHQ. Let's take a look at the global weather. In Africa, Cyclone Chido left at least 73 people dead in Mozambique. Cyclone hit Mozambique's Cabo Delgado province, where 66 fatalities were reported, along with 4 in Nampula and 3 in Niassa. Over 540 people were injured, and the storm brought winds of around 260 kilometers per hour and heavy rainfall. More than 39,000 homes were destroyed, affecting over 300,000 people. Concerns over disease outbreaks like cholera and malaria have been raised. After Mozambique, Chido moved to Malawi, resulting in 13 additional deaths and nearly 30 injuries. In Mayotte, a vessel carrying 50 tons of food assistance arrived on Thursday morning, 5 days after Cyclone Chido overwhelmed the French overseas territory. French President Emmanuel Macron made his appearance on the same day, accompanied by rescue teams. Macron touched down at Pamanzi Airport, located in Petite-Terre Island. He had a brief discussion with officials before embarking on a helicopter flight over the areas impacted by the cyclone. A total number of fatalities is still unknown. Hospitals have reported 31 deaths, but officials are concerned that this figure could increase as certain regions remain unreachable. The government has implemented a price freeze on bottled water and essential products for the next 6 months. A curfew has been instituted during the night. Authorities have declared a state of natural disaster to facilitate quicker relief operations. Moving on to South America, in October this year, Brazil and Colombia started facing significant challenges due to the effects of intense heat waves and devastating wildfires. The Amazon basin in particular was severely impacted, with UNICEF reporting over 420,000 children in the region have been affected by relentless drought. This prolonged dry spell has not only parched large areas of South America, but also led to critical shortages in water supplies. The scarcity of water has disrupted essential river transport, further complicating the delivery of resources and aid to vulnerable populations in affected regions. The situation remains dire as communities struggle to cope with the repercussions of these environmental crises. And that's WeatherHQ for today. Join me again tomorrow, whatever the weather, here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.